Oh, what a wonderful day, Tony, in this bleak, horrible future that we live in outer space. This
So,
is Tangerine on Lethal Company, a game I've been
lead
playing
the
a
company.
lot
Yeah.
recently.
For
As
some
you,
reason, I always forget the name.
well, when you've played a couple of times, you'll learn that it's a very lethal company that you work for.
Right, right.
So we talked about this in the podcast actually. I said there was this new early access game that had just come out at Halloween and was getting quite
Yeah.
popular on Twitch, and I was like, I wonder if this is going to be like, that popular, and then it just blew the fuck up. It went
Yeah,
crazy
yeah,
big.
yeah. It went
I
insane.
think a large in part two, all the Twitch streamers playing it. I remember I saw it on I think Soda Poppin's stream. Um, but yeah, as a big
It
fan
has
of
155,000.
155,000 overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, it
It's
has that
insane, like insane number.
the biggest comparison I would immediately make for anyone wondering what this game is about is immediately to Phasmophobia, which is one of my favorite games when that came out. It is just that early access indie game where they go, okay, let's get an interesting idea and let's just build the features that we need to get it running and playable and fun, and then we'll worry about the rest later. That's what
Yeah,
Lethal
yeah.
Company feels like. It's very much simple. So the idea is, you start off on this spaceship and you work for like a salvage company, and you need to go to these moons that have scrap on them, and you need to salvage enough scrap to meet your quota, your allotted quota, and then any profit you can take and you can spend on buying more equipment. And every time you meet quota over these 3 days, so every time you go to a planet, that's a day. So it's like you've basically got like 3 visits to planets before you have to sell all your scrap up and buy your equipment for future runs before you meet your quota. If you don't meet your quota, they basically the company will just jettison you out into space. They'll just open the airlock.
Okay. You're no longer
Um,
allowed to be on the ship.
yeah, but the only problem is the all of the moons that you're salvaging the scrap from are full of horrific monsters. So, and you don't really have any way of defending yourself. I mean, there's stuff you can get, but it's mostly just about trying to avoid creatures and running away from them. And yeah, so it's sort of like a co-op horror game, but I wouldn't say it's like a. It's not like a jump. It's not. I would say there is some like small jump scare stuff, but it's more so like it's funny to watch. I mean, I think one of the funniest clips that I had happen was I got so basically there's like I'll immediately say I think a game like this, given how much content is in the game at the moment, I think going in as blind as possible is always the best idea. I think if you're interested in the concept, just get it with a couple of friends and play it. I think it's only like £8
Yeah,
on
it's cheap.
Steam, so it's pretty
Yeah, it's
cheap.
like 850.
Yeah, it's in early access. Because
Yeah.
I immediately looked and was like, oh, I want to play this, but I don't know if I have enough friends. And then my friend Katie was like, "Do you want to play this?" I was like, "Yeah, but I need other people to get it." And then she loaded it up with my friend Martin, and then I was like, oh, "Okay, I can't let these guys have all the fun. I've got to get the game as well and play it with them." So we managed to
Mm.
get a full lobby of four of us going, and yeah, it's really fun. I think it also helps when you play it like Phasmophobia, where a large proponent of the game is um, the proximity voice chat of the game. Oh, I like these just random liminal rooms, by the way, and I wish they did more with them, which I don't think they do from what I can tell. I really like liminal horror stuff, so like I love the idea of like walking into a room and then you turn around and then the door you walked in through is no longer there and stuff like that, just really
Yeah, yeah,
fucking with you that
yeah,
way. But this doesn't
yeah.
seem to be like super liminal horror, this game. It's more just monster horror for the most part, it seems like. Um, but anyway, going back to so one of the funniest clips was I got this stun gun, and it's not like an actual gun. It's like a broken scanner. So every time it will randomly scan, but sometimes the scan will shock whatever's in front of you. So it's like a scuffed stun gun, which I find hilarious that it's just like a repurposed scanner. And then I was using that, and then you also, the main way that you can attack monsters is you can get shovels. So you can attack monsters with shovels. So my friend Martin, he's next. We're going through these. What I would call them the gameplay equivalent of dungeons. Basically the outside area is like very open area, and then these are more like focused areas where the loot is and where you interact with the most monsters. But so that me and Martin, we encounter this bug monster. Martin's like, quick, zap it. I turn it on. I'm like, I'm zapping it. Martin's like, you're zapping me. Martin gets killed by a bug. I run off in the direction we came from and forget that we both jumped over a landmine at the start of the interaction and immediately get blown up. And that's the sort of stuff that's just going to happen in this game. It's like horror stuff, but it's also fucking hilarious at the same time. It's like stuff like this in Phasmophobia and stuff. It can be like very like slapstick horror almost, if that's a thing.
Yeah, I don't know if that's called a thing, but I get what you're saying. It's like
but the thing that makes
funny moments because of scary circumstances.
I think that makes the proximity voice chat in this more important in this game than Phasmophobia. Phasmophobia had pretty small maps, but generally the maps on this game are quite big. Like they're meant to be entire moons, and then when you go into these facility warehouse things, right, that have the loot in them, they're generally quite big. And I would say if you're going to play with friends, I'd say probably don't play on Discord or mute yourself and on Discord and use the in-game chat, because it actually is important to buy walkie-talkies and use them to communicate. And it's like very funny spectating people because when you die, you can spectate everyone as like a spectator mode, and it's really funny seeing people just running around going, "Hey guys, where are you?" And you're just watching one of them was murdered, and then another one of them is just jumping up and down because he's stuck in a hole and just screaming, "Help, help!" And then they just have no idea what's going on. But there's other like really cool stuff. Like we found there's a thing that lets you type a message to everyone in the game through their suits and stuff like that. So there's like interesting ways to communicate with each other through the game, even if you are far apart. And again, there's walkie-talkies, but everything has like a battery cost, which you can recharge by going back to the ship. Right. So having your walkie-talkie, and it takes up an inventory space and has weight. And usually you want to get back to the ship before nighttime, because that's when monsters start to come out on the overworld as well.
Right. That's when things hit the fan.
Yeah. And if you're not back at your ship, I think a hour in game is about a minute in real life, I think is how it's done. And if you don't get back to your ship in time by like 10 o'clock midnight, something like that, it'll just automatically leave without you, which is not something you want to do. So the way it works is if you die, you'll respawn on the next moon, but depending on how many of you died, it will cut a portion of your money based on how many people it had to revive, basically. So it's not like if you die, you're going to be spectating for the entire run. And the way the game's set up is it's set up more like Phasmophobia is like a single mission, and then it's like you unlock stuff by playing. Whereas this game's almost set up, I would say, like a roguelite. So you just keep doing the run until you fail, and then you start a brand new run with nothing, is how it's set up.
Start from nothing. Yeah, okay. And that makes more sense for, like you're trying to survive, otherwise you'd make it easier and easier, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And this, another cool thing is this game already has mod support as well, because we immediately wanted to mod it so we could play more. So the baseline game is 4 people, but we modded it and we were playing with, I think, 5 people. I don't know if we've been over 5, but I think with the mod you can do like an unlimited amount of people. And the mod wasn't too
Okay.
hard to install. My friends are using the Thunder store, which requires you to install Overwolf, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'll just and I just figuring out how to install it through Mod Organizer because I was like, it's on
Yeah.
Nexus mods. I could just download it from here. Um,
I guess you could have used Vortex, but you decided to use Mod Organizer.
yeah, I never used Mod Organizer. I've used Vortex before, and it's pretty easy to use. I used
Yeah.
it for like
Yeah.
New Vegas, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'll. You seem to like Mod Organizer, so I think I'll
Yeah.
test it out.
It's one of the things that once you use it and like understand it, like I have no interest of like going back. Like it's just to me it's a superior way that I
But
would
yeah, so
recommend it.
it's a really good co-op experience for 4 people. But as well, if you're like us and you have more friends who want to play at the same time, you can mod it to invite them. There's also the way you learn. I was learning to play the game because I went in blind. Is there's an actual manual in the game that you read. So I was just reading this manual to be like, oh, okay, that's what that means. That's how you use the scanner on your suit, and oh, that's how you use the terminal. So one of my favorite things in video games is like physical computer terminals, and this game has one where you basically go onto the computer and you'll have to type in like, store, buy this, and then like stuff like that, or transport to moon, and then you have to type the name of the moon and stuff like that, which makes it because you as well. So there's no options for like how the game looks, and it does have these heavy post processing effects. But I think
Yeah.
I like those. I think it adds the aesthetic
It's
of the
part of the
game.
effect. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, because it's I want to say it's an Unreal Engine game. It's either Unreal Engine or Unity, but it's basically very easy to mod. So you can actually very easily mod it to add extra option settings if you want to turn those off. But um, with mods, you need everyone who's in the game with you to have the same mods turned on. Otherwise, it won't work. But I quite like the aesthetic. I like the low poly stuff, so I think
Yeah,
it goes
yeah.
well with it.
It's the very good. I don't know. I think it's one of the games that I might pick up because it's so cheap. It's like not something I would like if it was any more expensive, I probably wouldn't play myself. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
not.
I don't know.
I like Phasmophobia, but I never picked it up. So
I think it's an interesting. I don't know how much fun you would have with this game if you've played single player, for example. I think it is very much
I
deeply
think you
rooted in
need
being a multiplayer game.
yeah, 100%.
But yeah, because there's awesome. Because I immediately was like, everyone was like, we need to save up to meet quota, and I'm like, yeah, but the way you order things is hilarious. You basically call down like a drop ship, and then you have to go and pick it up, and it plays like a jingle across the map, which is also a Christmas jingle. It plays Jingle Bells right now because it's Christmas.
Does that attract monsters?
There are so many ways to die in this. You can be crushed by the drop pod. You can be killed by ladders, which I found out firsthand. You can
How? They fall off them?
the ladders can fall on top of you, which will kill you.
Okay.
It was my dream to get a jetpack, and I got because it costs like 700 credits. I was like, oh, that sounds awesome, but it is so clunky and hard to use that I think I flew up and came back down. I was like, Andy, you got to have a go on this. Andy goes on it. He flies up to the air and blows up and dies immediately. And I'm like, okay, Andy's dead. But yeah, I was like, oh, I wonder if you can go down here. Nope, you'll die to full damage if you try to go to the dark. Even though it looks like you can get down there, if you go into the dark areas, that is where you will die. As a dead person, you can actually, which I don't think it's. I'm trying to think of a useful scenario, but as a dead person, you can vote for the ship to leave early. So if people are still alive, you can force the ship to leave without them.
Is it everyone's stuck and you can't do
yeah,
anything?
if everyone's stuck or they don't know that other people are dead and they're waiting around, you can force them to leave if they're sitting in the ship, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I see you need like a super majority to do that though.
But there's some. I don't know how much to give away because it's a sort of game where the more you explain it, the less fun you're going to have going into it. I mean, one of the monsters I'll give away, Tony, is you know the Weeping Angels from Doctor Who.
Yeah, I do.
Imagine that, but clowns.
What? I don't. Okay, I feel like even with that, like I don't quite know what to expect. Like I get like the mechanics you're saying, but
So they
I'm
only
trying to
move when you're
imagine the
looking at
clown
them.
part.
And Martin got to a
They
situation where he
clown.
was in a hallway, and both ends of the hallway had these weeping angel creatures at them. And he was like, "Joe, I need you to come here and look at these creatures for me so I can leave."
That's kind of cool though.
Yeah, but it's always like because I feel like because I've played about 10 hours with friends, and I always feel like even though it's the map layouts are very sim. I would say like once you've been to a couple of the moons, they're all like procedurally generated, but they're all very similar. But it's just that
Yeah.
constant feeling of not knowing what's coming around the corner that keeps it interesting. I think that is like the cool like there's more expensive moons you can go to where you can pay to go to them so they'll have better loot, but let me tell you, some of the more expensive moons, they have some horrific things. And there was something
Okay.
I played the other day and I was like, I didn't even know that was possible. That scared the shit out of me. What the fuck was that? Which
Okay.
I think it,
Interesting.
without giving it away, I think it's part of the new version 45 update, which came out in December. So if you know, you know. But yeah, I didn't know that was possible. But yeah, that confused the hell out of us when that happened. Um, but yeah, it's genuinely one. I would say it's genuinely the best multiplayer co-op game I played this year. It is so much fun, and just heavy Phasmophobia vibes. I'm waiting for the VR port, Tony. Maybe somebody can mod this
Oh
game
yeah.
into VR because
Maybe.
I think this game would be really fun to play in VR, even if it is
Oh
janky.
yeah.
Um,
I think the scare factor would be through
it
the
is
roof as well.
absolutely hilariously. It's hilarious horror. I don't know what the genre name needs to be. Slapstick
Well,
horror.
I just thought, yeah, but is the humor just for your how you're dealing with the situation? Like, is it?
I think it's like most people feel this way though when they play or see games like Lethal Company, where you just it's scary, but it's also hilarious to see your friend just flop to the ground after being murdered. I don't know,
Yeah, but I just feel like
in like a
inherent, like,
cartoony
even
game.
if it's trying,
Oh no, Anton got stuck in
if
the
it's trying
hole
to be
and no one
funny,
knew. I was just listening to him
yeah,
scream for hours.
yeah. But I'm saying like that is funny. Like the mechanic itself wasn't funny. It's just like the people you'll find the situation funny. So I just feel like it's just a horror co-op survival.
Yeah.
I think is interesting. It does look very good.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say about the game. Um, it has like quite an in-depth like actual economy system, and like the equipment is quite good, like what you should and shouldn't buy, and like there's items you can pick up in your 4 inventory slots, but then there's certain items where you need both hands to carry them. So there is like I would like to bring a flashlight, a walkie-talkie, a lockpick, and like, but it's like, well, if I do that, then I only have 1 inventory space left to gather gear, and it's like, I'm constantly always thinking about what I want to bring with me and what I want to take away when it comes to this
Yeah,
game. Like, it is very good in that
yeah,
system, and I also always need a fully charged boombox. That is something I immediately bought. I love how much just random shit there is in this game where. Like me and there's this giant monster chasing after me and Martin, and I'm just like, don't worry, the music will calm him, and I'm just playing music down the beatbox, and Martin's like, shut the fuck up, you're summoning the monster, and I'm like, no, we have to make him dance with the beatbox, with the boombox.
it increases morale. That's all we need to know.
You know that song "Dumb Ways to Die"? I feel like they took that and they were like, "Oh, let's do that in 100 different ways to die in really
Yeah,
stupid way." I've been
yeah,
I've been killed by monsters. I've been killed by bees. There's just a billion ways to just die in hilarious ways in this game, and it is genuinely
yeah,
really
yeah.
really fun, and it's super cheap, and it's in early access, so there'll be more content coming as well. So yeah, check it out. Oh, Tony, we have one of my favorite games, Hearthstone.
Hearthstone.
I'm always playing Hearthstone Battlegrounds throughout the year, but I wanted to. I don't think I've ever done a Tangerine Hearthstone Battlegrounds, and we did that
No.
spotlight of WoW Classic, and I was like,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about Battlegrounds update specifically because they just did the spells update where they've basically added these new spells to the tavern, and I think it's one of the best updates they've ever done for the game.
Is it worth explaining the difference between base Hearthstone and Battlegrounds just quickly?
Yeah, so base Hearthstone, you basically build the deck and you queue up on a ladder against people. Battlegrounds is the auto chess, auto battler version of Hearthstone, and it's almost, I would say, it's even more popular than the base game is now. I mean, if you go onto Twitch and you're watching Hearthstone, it more than likely the top streamer will be a Battleground streamer. And it's mostly Battlegrounds, like to a point where people are like, they should just separate them into separate games. Because I pretty much launch Hearthstone, I play Battlegrounds, and then I close it. Like I don't play anything else. I'm literally only playing Battlegrounds.
But in Battlegrounds, like you used to buy.
You basically get an allotted amount of gold every turn, and then you buy a minion, and then you go into a group against 8 people. You match up against them randomly. And then, well, semi-randomly, and then you fight against their minions, and they attack in a random order, or who attacks first is random, but your minions will always attack from left to right, and if you have taunt, you always have to attack a taunt minion.
So the spell update adds spells to this as well as the minions.
They add spells to the shops, yeah. And the reason spells are so good is because the usual curve for Hearthstone Battlegrounds is you would go like, you get 3 gold on 1, which means you can buy a minion. And then you get 4 gold on 2, which means you can level, or you can do like a GIF curve where you roll by a minion, or if you had a token, you can buy 2 minions sometimes, or you can hero power buy, because some of the hero powers cost money. There's like so much interesting economy stuff in Hearthstone Battlegrounds.
Yeah. I think it's a really cool system.
Because you always gain 1 gold a turn, but every turn you have the possibility of buying minions and leveling, and now you have the possibility of buying minions and leveling and buying spells, because spells don't have a fixed cost like minions do. Spells can cost anywhere from 1 to 6 gold, depending on their level as well. But basically, it was really important to get a token on 1, because if you got a token on 1, which if you don't know, a token is basically a card that generates another card, and that's important because if you sell the token, that gives you an extra gold. So that would allow you to go buy a minion on 1, level on 2, and then on 3, you would have 5 gold, which means you can't you can't double buy because you don't have enough gold, and you can't level buy because you don't have enough gold. No, you can't level, right? Because you need 6 gold. So you would either be left over with 2 gold, which you'd have to like roll away, or you would need a token. And it meant that if you got a token start in the game, you were really strong. And if you didn't get a token start, it felt really bad. And it was almost like games were being decided based on whether you got a token or not.
It's just that important to like set you up.
It felt like, at least. I don't know what the statistics are. But now there's these spells, and they have costs like 1 gold and 2 gold. And it actually, like, it completely changes how good the economy feels, where you go, well, I didn't get a token on 1, but now I can buy a 2-cost spell and a minion, or I can buy a 1-cost spell and have a roll or something.
Right.
Currently here you see me freezing those minions. That's because there's a triple, and when you triple a minion, it combines them into 1 golden minion. And the reason that's important is when you triple into a golden minion, it gives you a minion of the tavern tier above you. So I'm trying not to triple them yet, because if I level up first and then triple them, I will get a much higher tier minion.
Yeah. One thing, okay, I feel like I can't actually remember like what was like the how does the tier system actually work? 'Cause I was just a bit confused by that. I feel like I knew it at one point, but
Yeah.
now I don't.
So with the tier system, it costs a certain amount to level, and once you reach that level,
Yeah.
you can unlock the tiers of minions from that level. So it goes from tier 1 to 6, and
Oh,
you
okay.
can
So you're
reach.
just like okay.
So when I'm tier 1, I can only get tier 1 minions in the tavern. When
Yeah.
I'm tier
Yeah.
2, I can get tier 2 minions and tier 1 minions in the tavern. And the higher level you are, the higher chance you are of getting those higher tier minions. So you
Right. That
almost
makes a
always
lot of
want to be
sense.
leveling unless you're doing some crazy curve.
But there's like a cost sink that then slows you down for this.
They've
Yeah.
added a new
Yeah.
spell hero who was temporarily removed from the game and has been nerfed now because he was so broken at launch. Where
Okay.
every third spell he bought was free, but people realized that you could actually stay on like Tavern 2 or something like that, and there was a way to basically use him to get infinite gold on like turn 2 or
Oh my
something.
god. Right.
And it was like, oh, okay. I just love it's a multiplayer. It's one of my favorite things about games like Slay the Spire, which is another. This is kind of like an on-the-fly deck building game because you're constantly just building
Yeah,
different
yeah.
things based on what you're offered. Which I
And you
love
start from nothing.
I love the deck building element. Like one of my favorite things was there was a card called Weasel Tunneler in Hearthstone, and it was one of the worst cards in the game. And I would spend hours trying to make a deck that was entirely based around Weasel Tunneler. It's one of my favorite cards because it is just so fucking awful. It
Is it a
basically
fun mechanic?
it was a 1/1 that Death
Yeah.
Rattle tunneled itself into your opponent's deck. So you basically are trying to put it
Okay.
into you're basically trying to put it into your opponent's deck. So when they draw cards, they're drawing like a really bad card. But the
Yeah.
problem is you're
I
also
like
playing
that.
the card.
Yeah, there's like no
So I mean, this is some
yeah,
Unreal
there's like
RNG I'm getting
multiple.
right here. I'm playing a Primal Fin, which is like a really shit stat minion, but it gives you another Murloc by playing it, which is really good.
Oh my
And then
god.
I'm going to
Yeah.
evolve it with the Face's Disciple, and then I evolve it into a Bran, and I'm just like, okay, check him PC, check him PC. I don't know if you've ever seen that meme. It's
No.
basically saying like, oh, I must be cheating, check him PC. Because that's some crazy
Okay.
RNG right there. Bran is really good, especially on Murlocs, because it doubles your battle cries. So when you play a card, sometimes they have battle cries, and sometimes they trigger twice. They always trigger twice for Bran, which is really, really good. Obviously, if you're watching this and you have no idea how to play, it's going to be very confusing to you.
I think it's like normal Hearthstone. Like I think you just like watch it and you slowly like understand what's going on. I don't think it's like I that's why I quite like Hearthstone as a game. Like I feel like
Well, Hearthstone was the
the
original
mechanics
just
aren't
chatting
crazy.
on Twitch, where
Yeah. Yeah.
you basically on Twitch you weren't allowed to watch non-gameplay streams, and the way that you got around it was Twitch is a very like low APM game and very like passive, so you could just basically play your turn and then talk to your chat, and it got very
Yeah.
popular through streamers like that.
Yeah.
Although I say that there is
I
certain builds that are very high APM, but only if you get certain like late game cards, which I really like. Where there's stuff like one of my favorite tribes in the game is pirates, and you have the ability to go infinite with pirates, where you're just constantly cycling pirates constantly over and over again, and then you have to try and
oh that's cool.
and then they have like pirates scale off gold, and you're trying to get more economy and so every time,
Yeah.
if you can, but it requires you to get like several tier 6 cards, and then you have to have a way
Just
to
set
turn
up.
that into like an engine as well. So it's not like
Okay.
if you go infinite with pirates, you automatically win. There's a lot of setup, and then you also have to have a card like Peggy or Gold, the dealer card, in order to
Yeah.
gain
There's
stats.
thought into it. And you have to maintain it, and you could easily
Or there's
lose it if
like
someone else is
you can do it with the
better.
elementals and stuff like that.
Yeah. But I feel like the mechanics are like I'm not quite self-explanatory, but like they're not like too crazy. And, like the game shows it quite well to
The easiest character in
an
the game to go
audience.
infinite with is Gallywix, who I'm about to play against, who is my favorite character in the game. And I think he's probably
Okay.
unilaterally always been the strongest character in the game because he has a passive hero power, and his passive hero power is every time you sell a minion, gain 1 gold next turn.
Oh,
And if you
that's pretty big.
start to go infinite, you could see how you could start your turn with like an insane amount of gold, especially
Yeah.
with like all the economy cards that are inside the game. I don't know. Galliwix is always just fun to play, no matter what. Yeah, this was
a
my
little time 100 seconds is.
so the thing with Battlegrounds is everyone has the same timer, and then it depends
Yeah.
how long your fights are. So if your fights are longer because they have more animations, you'll get less time in the shop. I think
Yeah.
if 2 people are playing against each other that have like particularly long animation decks, like they summon 500 cards while they're in a match, the timer will be extended for everyone to account for this.
Oh,
There is
okay.
like a long timer. I mean, people have been asking for a long time for Hearthstone to speed up the animations. I mean, Hearthstone's running on
Yeah.
Unity. It has been for a long time. Like people wanted them to maybe move Battlegrounds to like Hearthstone 2, Tony. That's what we're all waiting for. So this
I
spell
think
here
if
actually
you they
costs 3
Battleground by
life, but
itself.
it gives you an extra gold. So it's like a sacrifice card almost. What are you gonna say?
I'd say like they could just like if they did the GIS game by itself, like Hearthstone Battlegrounds in a new engine. But I guess that's a lot of work. Instead of just leave it. I mean, it still works. It works as it is. Don't don't break what's not broken. That's the saying, right?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, that's the real saying.
But yeah. Hearthstone Battlegrounds spell update. I think it's really good for the game, and I'm excited because early next year, we're getting duos, and Hearthstone Andy has agreed
Ooh,
to play
yeah, I forgot
duos
that.
with me. And I
Yeah, I'm looking
wonder,
forward to watching that.
people are saying they want to keep spells in the game, but we'll see because usually what they do with these
Yeah,
content updates is they add them temporarily for the season. So we just had anomalies, which was not my favorite update to the game so far. I think anomalies, some of them were good, and then some of them was like so bad that I was like, I just didn't want to play them. And there was so many of
yeah,
them, it kind of switched between them. I think buddies were okay, and then my favorite was definitely quests. I think the quest meta that we had for Hearthstone was really really good.
yeah.
So that was one of my
So
favorites.
you want to add like quests and spells like permanently, sort of thing.
Yeah, potentially. It really depends how it
Maybe
affects the
balanced
balance of the
differently,
game.
but
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. I
I
appreciate
mean, at the
like the
moment,
seasonal stuff have to be balanced different than added permanently.
there's only one mode to queue up for in Hearthstone. It's ranked. So every time you're playing a game, you lose MMR, you gain MMR. There's no casual for Battlegrounds. There's no ranked. There's no
Right.
like, oh, I want to queue up for a spell lobby. I want to queue up for an anomaly lobby. And I
Yeah,
think that would
that'd
be
be
really
like what?
interesting to
Yeah,
do.
yeah. Seed and select sort of thing.
Yeah, but we'll have to see. Like,
Yeah, I think that'd be useful.
there's heavy rumors right now that they want to add Hearthstone to Steam. I think that would be a big boon for the game. It's how I would probably choose to play the game.
Yeah,
So
yeah. On your Steam Deck.
yeah. Well, actually, that's like literally one of the first things I did when I got my Steam Deck was like, all right, let me try and set up Hearthstone Battleground on my Steam, because
Yeah,
I play a lot of Hearthstone Battleground on my phone, and I was like, I would much rather have a bigger screen to be able to
yeah,
play cards
yeah.
and stuff.
And the board is like the right shape as well.
Yeah.
You want it to be deck size.
So yeah, Blizzard add Hearthstone to Steam so it's easier for me to be gaming on my deck.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, that'd be good.
But yeah, a cool update. We usually do our best update in 2023 for games, and Hearthstone Battleground spell update is definitely a very good one. So I'll be considering that one for our Games of the Year show, which should be coming out potentially in the next couple of months, but it depends if I decide that there's a bunch of games in 2023 that I need to play at the last minute or not.
Yeah, we're probably doing like best update this time, right?
Yeah, well, there's off the top of my head, I think
because we did weirder things before.
Well, this is best update. We did best update last year as well.
Okay, was it straight just update? I thought, oh, maybe I didn't That's something maybe.
We did best update, and I believe I gave it to Overwatch for Overwatch 2 because I refused to call it a new game.
Well, yeah, it's an
But
update.
off the top of my
2.0.
head, I haven't checked out Lego Fortnite, and I think that looks like a really good one. And I also Sea of Thieves has got or is getting private servers. I think they're out
that's
now.
pretty big.
So that's a really cool update that I want to check out at some point when I play that with my friends. But yeah, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
I think I came second in this game. Just if anyone's
Silver.
wondering. Yeah, I got the bronze cup. I may even got third based on this outcome. I got third place in my first game of Battleground spells.
No.
But yeah, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
You can survive with negative damage. No.